So you remember that movie Blood Diamond? It might be on a case of blood colton. You know, if you don't know what I mean, I'm gonna explain it to you. Just give me some time. So what's happening? Why do I say blood colton? So some of you might know the country called the Democratic Republic of the Congo. It's a country in Africa, right? I think central, close to East Africa, not in East Africa, Central Africa. So there's been a lot of humanitarian situation going on in the DRC. And the whole conflict stems from mineral resources. Now, the DRC is a country that is wealthy in terms of minerals. You talk about diamond, you talk about gold, you talk about some lithium, you talk about coltan, which is the main thing, right? So why is coltan so important? Because coltan is used in your cell phones, right? So coltan is used in various like digital things, cameras, cell phones, even your computer, chips, for cars, and just for so many things. So you might be losing that. Maybe. Might not be, but maybe. But here's why the DRC matters a lot to the world. Because of coltan and just because of various other things, and why the country even matters more to Africa, right? So right now, like I mentioned, there are humanitarian crises going on. Who is involved in this? The March 23 movement, popularly known as M23. Now, this is like a rebel militia group within the DRC. It's led by the Tutsi. Now, this group, they were formed basically, what they claim is to protect the minority, because they felt that the minority population were not getting a piece of the national cake, which is the case in most African countries, if you know what I'm saying. But in this situation, they formed a militia group, and the militia group, there was a settlement, and they died. They slowly, their temper was calm. But because they claimed that the DRC government didn't uphold the peace agreement, so there has been an insurrection of their activities. And it's been making the news since the beginning of the year, right? We've had a lot of refugees in the DRC, so many displaced people within the DRC, and just crisis going on that humanitarian need is like really needed in the country. That's one. But when it comes to mineral resources, which is why a lot of things happen in the world, it's good we pay attention, right? So one, the M23 is involved, the government of the DRC, of course. And again, there's another third party, which is kind of fascinating to me, which is the great country of Rwanda. Shout out to PK. PK is one of, I mean Paul Kagame. He's a great president, I would say. He's one of the good presidents in Africa. Now, you might not like him, but, his work is manifested as the country is almost one of the best countries in Africa. And everyone that comes from Rwanda that I speak to, they love this man. So it's interesting to see their involvement in it. Now, of course, there's been a lot of allegations as to why they're involved. And there's a lot of speculations that there's interest in the mineral resources within the country, which is why the government of Rwanda is involved in this. But let's try and find out why. So now, like I've mentioned, so you have the DRC, you have M23, you have the Rwandan government. So now the M23, of course, they're involved because they feel like, the natural resources is not getting with, the minority group. They're protecting their people, and, they want the resources, they want a share of the resources. Now, they have been in control of the resources, which I think it's not the way to go. Like, you can't have a militia group controlling the resources in a country. And the way these resources are kind of, mined in the country is very informal. Like, you will see pictures of like people just digging holes, and there's no like a modernized way of doing things, like a formal way, like a nationalized way of mining these resources and making sure that it's used for the benefit of the country. It's all like informal, and it's just chaotic, if you ask me. So now my take on the Rwandan government being involved is that if they are really involved for the wrong reasons, it's because Goma, which is one of the big cities in the DRC. Now, Kinshasa is the capital, and the M23 group is actually advancing